Good day, my viewers. My name is Bishop Dr. Adversarial, and this afternoon I'm here to present to you the business of global ADR the year 2020. We are located at Committee 22 on Afarawa Road, Tema, and anybody that wants to reach us, you can reach us on 024 3010 898 024 3010 898. Like I said, my name is Dr. Adversarial, and I'm the CEO of Global ADR and Paralegals Center. We are here for peace. We are here to resolve all issues within the communities. Yes, business was never as usual. As we all know, the COVID-19 and among other economic factors actually worked down against the global ADR. Generally speaking, from our statistics as compared to last year, business was down by about 8.6%. Business was down by about 8.8%. The reason of this downtrend was people were afraid to come out to even to report their case. The center is not too big enough and spacious enough to meet all the protocols that we are supposed to observe as far as the health sector directives are concerned. And again, the usual thing of Yamfamenyame, because the economic situation generally was very down and people were not even happy and even thinking of even how to even to pay the small fee to pay, and for that matter, let's leave it aside. So we faced a lot of challenges. Attendance was a bit low, and again in terms of our finances was also a bit low. But generally speaking, by the research that we conducted, generally speaking, business was down by 8.6%. Global ADR is a very innovative business managers, and we try to think through. Now that it is not possible for people to come out in their numbers as usual, what else can we do? So we resorted into something we call the Technovate. In the Technovate system, we use technology, and we brought new ideas, and we try to innovate. In our innovation, for example, one of the spectrums that we practice is actually CBT, that is competency-based training. And in this training, we converted them into online and mobile phone classes, and that works the trick. Indeed, our business was able to survive and make nearly 300% as compared to last year. So we took advantage of the COVID-19 and people living in their houses, and we used that period to train them online and on mobile phone. And again, in the Technovate system, we also resorted into using conferencing and separate meetings for most of our cases, and it did work very well. It did work for us very well, both financially and that of numerical factors. It's very, very on high. But if you compare to the others, then generally speaking, we were down by 8.6%. But when you looked at global ADR business in the face of business recession, we did very well than last year. The key issues in the report are so amazing. When you looked at the area, land cases didn't do well, and that is our cash cow. But issues like family cases, for example, the child care and pregnancies went very high. Meji kind of thing. If you looked at the month of December and a part of January, childbirth have increased than any other month in the year, simply because of the knockdown. In the knockdown, a lot of activities took place in the bedroom, and that have resulted in the 9th month, birth rate have increased. Not only birth rate have increased, but social welfare issues have also increased. For example, in the year last year, 2019, social welfare issues was actually 1,400 a year within the Ashma metropolis. But this year, the increase is 2,500. Even though a general ADR response were very low by 8.6%. But there are cases that shoot up. It shoot up because of the circumstances we find ourselves. Tenancy issues also shoot up. so much. And then there are a lot of factors. People lost their job, salaries were slashed, and people could not afford to pay their rent. And worst case scenario, there was a statement made in the political arena saying that the landlord must slow down in collection of rent and the landlord must apply to the government for a subsidy. Unfortunately, that didn't work. So a lot of tenants took advantage that the government says the landlords must stop taking rent. And after 3 months, people were owing so huge that they have already flattered the 90 days, a period for grace where a tenant can actually overstay. So tenancy issues became very, very enormous and issued so high. So where there's an alarming rate of increase as a result of business recession and COVID-19 was actually tenancy cases and that of the family cases. A lot of marriages also were broken down at that period. Why? A lot of people have married their wife, but they have not stayed together in the room for 2 weeks continuously before. So there's a lot of grudges and quarrels that also are raising. And that could not even work well. People thought that when people are locked up in their room, their marriage is going to be super marriage, but it didn't work like that. So a lot of quarrels and grudges and conflict and disputes were actually reported within the same period. Generally speaking, if you look at Ghana in general, the criminal activities also went extremely very high. A few scan reports that we scanned through in 6 districts, basically the Tema Metropolis and KKMA, that is Punkatamanso and Ashamai Municipal, including Pram district and that of Fienya and Dodowa. Within these communities, with a total population of about 1.06 million, we recorded about 6,200 plus cases for ADR alone. And basically, the criminal cases increased. In fact, the 6,200 plus of ADR reported cases in 17 ADR centers is only 15% of the total cases within the same regions. And all the rest are criminal. The criminal cases went high, very, very, very high from the police stations. And the ADR we have our fair share within the same period. So comparatively, if you looked at last year figures, global ADR was able to do 77 resolved cases during a semi-part of the last year. But this year we did nearly 300. That is about 292 cases were resolved in global ADR. And the cases cut across various spectrums of ADR cases. Descending to the other places, you realize here that 17 ADR centers, as of 2020, was able to do, like I was saying, 6,000 plus. As you add last year to this year, we have resolved over 13,000 cases within 6 districts. 13,000 cases within 6 districts. And for that matter, I will appreciate that ADR is doing extremely very, very well. Ranges between labor, land, family cases, business issues, claims, debt collections, and cut across, with the exception of the criminal cases. So yes, it is not bad in a way. To those that actually innovated, it is not bad in a way. But still, the problems still remain the same. Looking at Ghana, the research findings also came out that if we generalize what we found in the 6 districts as we did the research, then Ghana cases increased also by 5.6%. ADR cases in Ghana also increased by 5.6%. And for that matter, it means conflicts are increasing. But the question is that, is the number of practitioners also increasing? The answer is absolutely no. As I speak to you, we have about 1,100 trained personnel across the country, and less than 10% are practicing. We have less than 300 centers, private ADR centers. With the issue of the court connected, they have their own world that they live in, and that is about 732. But when you come to the private ADR centers, which I am actually talking about, you realize that when you share the number of presumed cases to the number of professionals practicing, unless every ADR practitioner or center across the country is able to resolve over 600 cases before there will be relative peace, and this is a deficit. So I'm appealing to those who have been trained and highly professional and they have just attached to companies, though they are doing well, if they can set up their own private ADRs within the weekends and be helping to resolve some of the issues, it will help. For me, I believe that if Waju does so, even though they have their own law, the ex-police servicemen, the retired judges and retired court registrars could all avail themselves with the ADR practices and have themselves to be retrained and help to mop up this large number of ADR cases across the country. Ghana will be peaceful. Yes, the question is that why people have been trained and less than 10% are practicing. That is the right question. Motivation is not there. ADR has been seen as something which is free because the court connected seems to be they are relying on the commission. But private ADR is actually not free, and it is not known. I mean, we need a lot of publicity. It takes money, even the initial capital of setting up your own business, the encouragement and the motivation. And in the training schools, what I've realized is that they don't train us in ADR business. They train us in ADR 6Ps, the principles, the practice, the papers, the protocols, and whatnot. But when we finish, you can't set up. You can't set up because the business or the entrepreneurial aspect of ADR is not in us. I am able to do something as I'm doing because I'm an entrepreneur already. So I brought that knowledge to how we can set. So the government, first of all, must set up the board, and the board must promote and regulate the practice of ADR and able to sensitize and also to influence the court system, even though there is some kind of influence, to accept private practitioners so that even cases right from registry could be directed. Purely civil and ADR base can be directed into private ADR center. But here we are, all cases move into the court, registered, take lawyers. Then the judge will now decide that this case have to go to ADR. And then that ADR practitioner must be a court-connected ADR practitioner and must sit in the court. It does not change anything. But if the cases are reported in ADR private centers and they are resolved and they don't go to court, I think the issues end there, and that is the most appropriate. So what am I talking about? I would have wished to suggest to the government to set up the ADR board, and the board must come out with measures to be able to promote and regulate the practice of ADR. Come out with a uniformed paper. We are talking of forms in terms of the practice and regulate and promote, so that individual on the street will understand the actual work of ADR. But when a single person wants to take himself up to be able to conduct a national advert, to be able to educate and sensitize and advocate and call for public dialogue in terms of ADR, who bears the cost? So government have a lot to do, and individuals must also psychic our mind that it is not always that we have to go to shrine, or we have to go to court, or we have to go to police. ADR is the most humble and fastest and affordable way to come to have your cases also resolved peacefully and amicably between the two parties, making an agreement to bind themselves and make sure that they perform whatever agreement that they have done. By so doing, there will be a relative peace in Ghana. My name is Bishop Dr. Bafasare, and I'm ADR consultant. I'm the CEO of Global ADR Paralegal Center. Global Paralegal Center, what we do is that we sit on all the 7 spectrums of ADR, the issues that are mediatable and arbitratable. We sit on such cases and try to resolve the dispute and conflict between parties and between businesses. And that is what we do to bring peace and amicable solutions and maintain relationships between parties, and also maintain business promotions between parties instead of trooping cases into courts, into the police station, which is adversarial. It's very expensive and also does not build relationship. Bring revenges and pains, and emotions are not healed. But in our ADR center, we are humble to say that you will be happy indeed that every case that you come, we will be able to resolve it for you. If you want to see us, you can call our line 024-3010-898, 024-3010-898. We sit on all manner of cases, with the exception of grievous cases and criminal cases, and the cases of government policies, and cases also of constitutional issues. That is where we don't go. Apart from that, land, we deal with it. Tenancy, we deal with it. Family, we deal with it. Labor, we deal with it. Claims, we deal with it. Debt collection, we deal with it. Businesses and commercial cases, we sit in all. We have the capacity as professionals to be able to resolve your case for you. Come, and we shall help you to resolve your own case. Thank you so much.